Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Bitcoin Lounge. This is Joe Saz, and we are going to hang out, smoke cigars, pay attention to some price action, and yeah, talk life, talk all the beautiful things of life, guys. Let's get this shared up, and let's get the party started. Getting YouTube on my phone so I can monitor comments. Well, that's not it. Hope everyone's having a fantastic day. Be strong, people, every single day. Pursuit of the mastery of yourself. Life comes at you hard, man. You guys got to make sure you're strong. It's a saying that I think about all the time. If you think you're different, then you're just like everyone else. So just remember that, guys. Um, this is the lounge, new friendly area. Ask questions if you have them. And I'm happy to answer. Probably smoke a cigar for a few minutes here. If I get some questions, then we'll keep rolling. It's a beautiful day out here. Ferris Bueller. I actually heard it at an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting. Not that I was I had to go there because I got a DUI when I was younger. So I didn't know who said it. I just got it from AA meetings. What's up, APJ? So we had a nice move trying to get back into 30K as someone's flipped the switch. Fucking idiots. Keep chilling though. Keep you guys throw me some comments in here. You know I'm better on the lounge once I have something to talk about. Yo, what's up, L Cubes? Hanging low, my friend. Nice and sunny out. Nice warm day. Hanging low. Hanging low. It's really beautiful out here. I mean, skies used to be blue on sunny days. Not sure what they're doing to our air, but you know, it's beautiful nonetheless. Yo, what's up, Juan? Yo, great to see you, my friend. Beautiful. I'm happy you're here. Great to see you, Juan. Much love to you, my friend. So what can I do for you guys today? I'm just thinking every day has challenges, you guys. You like in the heat of the moment, make sure that you're not asking for pain to be taken away, that you're asking to learn absolutely every single thing that you possibly can from that moment of pain. So the only way you're going to ever be stronger is if you give into the fact that the only way you can get stronger is through immense pain. Growth requires immense pain, birth. In fact, there's Native American rites of passages that I went through. One of them in particular, I'll never forget. I'll always remember. It requires it's basically the concept of childbirth, where you go from one life into through a very painful process into your next. And I just remember how freaking wild that was, and you really do face your demons. There's no turning back from that. And you really must go through, birth. It's a and rebirth. It's going through a narrow passage of extreme discomfort from one reality where you were comfortable and all was well and you were nurtured and this and that to through extreme pain into an entire new awakening. Um, yeah, summer day out here, Al Cubes, and going to Vegas to play poker with Tone. Yeah, I think so. December. Yeah, December's looking good. December's looking good, you guys. Yeah, I do look forward to seeing Tone in Vegas this year though. I think it'll be fun. I think it'll be fun. Got a long ways to go. Yeah, Big Ugly. Good to see you, brother. Boring market indeed. Boring market. I mean, look, we had a freaking flash move up to 30,000 and then we had a flash crash. Someone's being a piece of shit right now, guys. It's so obvious. It's so clear and obvious that someone's just being a piece of shit and trying to dump bags. I really don't get it. I have my theories, and my theories are, and they probably make sense, but it's like, still, what kind of fucking idiot would be dumping into a market that's bullish? Just wait for let the market do the work for you. What have we said before? If the market's going to go up, then you don't have to trade. Let the market do the work for you. Stagger your exit. Say you're trying to sell 10,000 Bitcoin right now. Stagger out at 31,000, 32,000. Put 100 put $100 Bitcoin at every $50 aggregation on up until it gets filled, instead of trying to dump the market in the 30,000s into the 20s, where you're losing a lot of opportunity. It's just absolutely ridiculous to me. No one else is stepping in front of that line to sell. You can see the sell-offs are clearly coordinated. It's not wide market participants that are engaging in FUD psychology to flip out. What's up, Gene Van? Thanks for joining us. So I think this whole behavior pattern is really stupid. It just shows that there are still some very, very stupid market participants in play. Um, we have a lot of climbing out of this hole to do, but okay. Okay, Gene. Thanks for letting me know. But yeah, we have a lot of good stuff going on. The market bottomed out. It's quite obvious. And looking at something like this, you guys, let's take a look here on the daily, share with you something that I think is relevant. Oh shoot, you know what? Shit, hold on. I just need to reply to this. And let me get back to some comments here. We might have a guest. All right, let me get a link over to our guest. Beautiful day, guys. Life is absolutely beautiful. Make sure that you are always in pursuit of the mastery of yourself, and that will include many challenges. It's going to be freaking difficult, but there's no greater reward than looking back at your past self, and knowing that you're better than you ever could be. I'm going to get back to share screen. And so looking at this on the daily, you can see that our pullbacks are getting less and less steep. We pumped real hard. We came down pretty sharp, found some support, pumped again, came back down lower, sharp angle, and came back up, found support basically at this horizontal. Maybe we should just do this right here. At this horizontal, we found support, and then you can see how sharp these angles were. Now our angles are starting to loosen up a bit, not as sharp. The market isn't really the same FUD kind of emotional stuff we were dealing with before. We were, yo, what's up? I'm just giving everyone welcome Bitcoin mechanic. I'm just, if you don't mind, I'm just going to be running through a couple little thoughts that I have on the charts.
Do it, man.
For another 5 minutes.
Yeah, go for it, man.
And answering maybe one or two more questions. But I noticed that, the same thing that I was saying in the distance between all-time highs, how we had all-time highs and we had the same 20, 30% pullback. And then we had a smaller all-time high, same 20, 30% pullback. Well, the angles were about the same, if not sharper, as we were getting to an all-time high. Whereas now our angles were sharp, especially after the run out of the bottom, and we found support, particularly this horizontal. And now our angles are getting a bit steeper from high to low, and now we're just going sideways. So I think the market is really done with retail sellers FOMOing out, fudding out. I think what's happening right now is just really amateur stuff, someone capping the price at a range where they could easily be making a lot more money if they were just to stagger their exits out up through the 30Ks. They'd make a lot more money on that, and it would probably happen in a similar frame of time. And then to answer this question from Juan David Vargas, Joe, I'm not seeing support on your danger indicator. Do you think it's better to wait or open a long from here? That's a great question. I do not typically all right. I don't believe in standalone indicators. I don't think there's really any one indicator, and obviously I'm order book bias. I do believe that is as close as it gets to a standalone indicator. But there really isn't a standalone indicator. What I'd be looking for if I do not have a signal, and you can see our last signal, which was a great long, we're in the money. If I would be looking to enter a position, I would be thinking it's the RSI getting nuked. We did get a nuked RSI, and now we're kind of neutralized, maybe with curling back toward the bottom end of the RSI channel. So to me, I wouldn't be entering any longs with with anything significant. If I just wanted some exposure to the market, yeah, we're probably going to go up, and that's my bias right now. Then I would probably think to add a very either none and prepare for on my next long, or to add if I'm using leverage, let's say, and 5x is my maximum, I would think to add 1x lev right here with the plan to add more lev if we go down to a certain point to where we get a signal. And obviously, you'd have to prepare to cut losses if need be. But my plan would be to wait for my next signal, or if I was really, really just thirsty for a trade, I would wait for the RSI to give me that trade. So now that we have Bitcoin Mechanic here, why don't we turn the mic to him? Yo, great to have you again, man. Back to back days.
Thanks for having me again, man. I hope my mic's a bit louder today.
It's great.
Sweet. Yeah, I'm talking about trying to get you on my channel, man. The
Yeah.
only thing is I've never streamed with, a call. I don't know if we do Jitsi or something like what's that thing everyone likes now? Keat. You ever used Keat?
No, I wouldn't say I'm the pro either. I've only ever used Zoom.
So you just pipe Zoom into your streaming software.
Okay. I have a lot to learn. I have a lot to learn when it comes to streaming. I always had a focus on content. I never took the any other element of it seriously. I was very lazy, very complacent, and I talk much about bending out of my comfort zone now. So I'm certainly willing to figure out more about this. But absolutely interested in figuring out a way to optimize my streaming. And if you set up a stream, yeah, whatever you send me, I would say just make sure that there's screen share allowed, just in case we need to look at anything together, you know?
Yeah, cool. Well, I'll have you over on my channel over the next few days, man.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll get we can help build yours that way as well. Because what are we looking at here with your channel at the moment? We got about 10 people watching. Usually, I might get around if I do a live stream, I'll get best case around 30 or 40 because my channel
Mhm.
isn't known for going live very much. But we can get all those people on your channel, so it'll be good.
Yeah, we're gonna be sharing, and this is a lot of the people here: Bitcoin Motorist, Al Cubes, Juan, Big Ugly, Al over there. A lot of these people are people I've known for a very long time, and very good people, friends, a lot of them. So yeah, I'm sure we'd be able to make something work, and everyone knows I'm rebuilding here, and I'm doing it from the ground up. So starting next week, I'm going to start doing more Twitter engagement, regarding the streams and broadcasting the stream on more channels on Telegram and so forth, as well as doing giveaways. I will be doing giveaways very soon, probably starting next week as well. Starting with some Bitcoin trading card giveaways. I know there's a big group of people into Bitcoin collectibles, so they're going to be very interested in winning some free stuff, especially because these trading cards, man, they're freaking crazy. what they sell for. There's a 1 in 21 selling for $14,000 right now.
1 in 21.
Yeah. Like so there's the cards are based on scarcity, which I think was kind of a very wise decision of them. And you have rares, which are 1 in 1,000.
Mm-hmm.
You have, the next level up, which is 1 in 500. Next level up, 1 in 210.
Mm-hmm.
Legendaries at 1 in 100, and then you have the 21 club cards, which is 1 in 21. Those 1 in 21 cards are highly sought after, and they sell for thousands, at least thousands. Um, so I bought some of these cards. I have quite a large number of them, so I will be doing, maybe a full set of commons at $300 plus value to a winner. That's a pretty big win for someone that shows up and just wants to like and retweet and share type stuff. $300 value, and it'll sell, man. The community of Bitcoin collectors is pretty serious. Actually, very fun.
I do
Yo,
want. How do I get hold of these things, man? I swear, guys, this is not some pre-organized plug. Like, I've seen Tone pumping them for ages. I've never been interested, but suddenly it's piqued my interest. I don't know why, but I want some.
well,
I get
it's
them.
fun, man. It's fun because you're freaking cracking cards. There's some education on them, and yeah, fuck the whole shilling thing for a sec. It's fun. I know people say don't separate you from your sats and this and that, but at the end of the day, it is contributing to a Bitcoin economy, and it is a fun time.
Man, it's
And
funny, man. Bitcoin. I don't buy that attitude at all of people just saying never ever sell anything. I don't get it. I
yeah,
sell my Bitcoin all the time because I have
yeah,
to live, and it is what I've been using as a monetary standard for 10 years now. So I
amen.
sell Bitcoin all the time. When I get
You
these
got
influencers come along and say, um, when they say things like, "Yeah, I've never sold a single Satoshi," I'm like, well, then you have a humongous income, obviously, because
mm, mm,
if you're able to spend what you're earning instead, good for you. I'm not. That's just
yeah.
not the case. And if you've been in Bitcoin a long time, I don't care. If you're earning a decent salary and you're putting a chunk of it into Bitcoin every month, and 10 years later, if your salary is not 10 times the price, your Bitcoin stack is worth at least 10 times the amount, which means your
Oh,
standard of living is going to go up a heck of a lot, like as it should, but that's going to require selling Satoshis, even if your income remains the same. And more likely, you'll end up like me, where you're just like, my job is irrelevant financially to me. But
mhm.
I mean, I don't want to start giving away too much information
Yeah.
here.
Well, I'll say this. How do you get the cards? They're sold out. I have the last boxes of the season 2 cards, and I'm probably going to open some, but consider I'll give you a couple as a gift. And glad
um,
the old two are back. Shibley's a really cool guy. Shibley is involved in setting up Bitcoin payments, BTC. It was BTC Pay Server, if I'm not mistaken, the one that isn't fucked up like BitPay or whatever. And Shibley's
yeah,
a really good guy. I'm really happy to see you here, Shibley, honestly. And I'm happy to be back. Thank you, brother.
it's a BTC Pay server, the the software, or someone involved in the software.
We might actually need to ask Shibley that question because Shibley was the one that would say, "Hey, Joe, if you're selling stuff, your services, let's say I do consulting services." And Shibley would be the one that could say, "Hey, Joe, I can set up a payments, Bitcoin payments on your website so that people can pay for your content directly in Bitcoin and, XYZ. So it'll be no dollar will be transacted." Uh,
Do you know the history of BTC Pay server?
no.
Man, it's legendary. It's the second best tweet of all time. The first best being Hal Finney's running Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So BitPay were the payment processors for people that wanted to move between Bitcoin and dollars or whatever. And they got fully on board back in the block size wars we were talking about yesterday. BitPay were some of the worst people for just lying and misleading and just generally being assholes. And they wrote a blog post that said, this is what everyone needs to do. You need to go and upgrade to this software because there's an upgrade happening. And it wasn't an upgrade, it was an attack, and that wasn't legit software in any way. It violated all of the community consensus, and even the way they framed it as an upgrade, it wasn't. Everything they did was just dishonest in it. Nicholas Dorier is the legend who went, "This is lies. I will make you obsolete." And then he said, I'm going to make an open source alternative to BitPay, and he made BTC Pay Server, and it is one of the most successful and best bits of software in the whole space. When Tesla got on board, before they started being idiots about the environment, they just went full on board with BTC Pay Server. That was how, if you bought a Tesla, the payment processing happened through an instance Tesla were running of BTC Pay Server. And I remember their engineers even found a couple of bugs in it, but it's such a success story born out of, someone telling a company, you're a bunch of assholes, I'm going to make you redundant. And he actually did. So
Yeah, he legit did.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's Shibley, and maybe one of these days we can have you on, Shibley, to talk about this a little bit. He's saying Dorier is king, and he also said that he knows you from you guys met at Unconfiscatable. I know it's hard to remember names and faces. I'm not trying to put you on the spot, just saying Shibley is an active member of the community, and I'm very happy to see you here, Shibley. Honestly, everyone, I'm happy to see you. Shibley, great to have you, brother. Um, so and just a quick thing on the Bitcoin trading cards. It's a very fun community. Everyone's just they're Bitcoiners. They just really love this stuff. And there's the cards are educational. You have let's say the Satoshi wallet card. It explains the Satoshi wallet contains X amount approximately of Bitcoin. It was, XYZ. The Genesis block explains the Genesis block, explains the Bitcoin standard book, for example, is one of the cards. Written by Saifedean. There's just there's Bitcoiners. There's actually even a Tone Vase card, which is so funny. And Tone's certainly worthy. I mean, Tone's been in the space, a Bitcoiner, always doing work, bringing on the right guests, lawyers, tech, putting on conferences. A lot of love and respect to Tone. And yeah, so yeah, this is really cool. I didn't know Unconf was in November, but I'm going to Unconf for sure. Like I'm not gonna make any excuses. I want to be at Unconf. I want to be smoking cigars, chilling with you guys. Yeah, Vegas.
Maybe I need to head to that one.
We got time.
I sent a link to the tweet I was talking about in the Zoom chat.
Okay, maybe do you want to screen share the tweet? Because I don't know if it'll pull up correctly if I click on it from chat. Let me try. Let's give it a try.
And just copy it, add a new tab there.
Here.
Yeah, there you
go. Okay. I don't know if the audience can see this or if it's blocked out yet. All right, here we go. Nicholas Dorier. Is it Dorier?
Yep.
This is lies. This is lies. My trust in you is broken. I will make you obsolete. Damn, dude. I need to log in. I'm not on my normal Chrome browser since I just set up this new Saz Analytica thing. But man, this is a fucking G call out, man. What a fucking G. And he did.
Yeah, he did.
2017, August 17th, 2017.
Yeah, it was legendary, man. Because it wasn't just bark, man. He did it.
Oh, dude.
Go-to software. He made the best software for payment processing in the space.
Yeah. Yo, I love this guy now. Yeah.
There were three legendary Frenchy guys in Bitcoin. It's him, Francis Pouliot, and Pierre Rochard. Those are and some people sometimes confuse the three of them, but they're all hardcore Bitcoiners that you don't fuck with.
Yeah. Yeah, I will say me and Pierre Rochard had some beef a while back. I hope it's forgotten by now because I'm over it. I'm sure he is too. But Pierre Rochard's the one that helped me set up my first node and Lightning node back in the day when you had to look at 20 different Medium articles to set this shit up. And I was so excited. I set it up and I kept having problems on my PC. I ended up getting it to work on my laptop. He, free of charge, came on a Zoom call with me, whatever it was, and helped me set everything up. So I do have mad respect for Pierre Rochard. And I've heard of Francis Pouliot, and who is the other guy?
Nicholas Dorier.
Okay, so I don't know much about Dorier except what I just learned. And Francis, I see him tweet, and he's a G, man. That dude believes in freedom. If there's one thing I remember about him, his tweets are pretty damn serious.
Francis is dope, man. He's one of my favorite Bitcoiners in the world, if not my favorite. Seriously, He's up there in like the top 5.
You know, it's so funny because I'll tell you this. My story of getting into Bitcoin, this was the only thing that I could do. I learned from nothing. I didn't have any educators. I ended up, yes, having Tone as an educator in 2018. I went to his conference and I learned two very important things. Don't trust anyone else and create your own analytic method. I ended up doing both. You know what I'm saying? And so, but this was my niche. I found price action, and I never was an asshole about it. I believe everything I did was to help others. I educated, endless videos, and I shared my trades for free. I did everything I could to serve the community with my expertise, and I always felt inferior. Every time I went to a conference or a meetup, I felt like a piece of shit. I was like, to me, I was surrounded by giants. You know a thing or two about programming. You're involved in building Bitcoin. I'm just the fucking shithead over here talking about price. So it was a very big thing for me to even go to dinner with some of these Bitcoiners that have really contributed to the future of Bitcoin. So that was an interesting thing to me. I always thought I was hated. I
Man,
thought
no,
I'm
you that speaks to your integrity as a person, man. Really, it does, because this is why I like you, man. Because there are not, if you're not feeling like an imposter in Bitcoin, you're not being honest with yourself. Because there are people that come
Mhm.
in and think they know everything. There are people with massive egos that show up and just aren't willing to sit on that dummy chair and listen to the smartest people in the room. I've been here for 12 years and I'm always the dumbest guy in the room, always. And it
Mm.
fucking hurts, man. My ego is always just beaten to shit because I have the honor of knowing these people like Luke
Mhm.
Jr., like Peter Todd, like
Yeah.
Jack Zuko, like these very, very, very deep, intelligent Bitcoiners that will kick my ass all the time. And I can't ever let my ego get big or feel like a master because I have all these people that are just running rings around me and just understand what's going on. Hey, I don't even know C++, right? So when it comes down to it, I can't read what's in the Bitcoin core code. I actually can't do it. So I'm relying on interpretation and social heuristics. But then you do that for long enough, once every few months or once or twice a year, I get put in front of a group of people that don't know anything like as much as I do, and I'm like, whoa, I didn't realize how far I've come. I actually do know a lot, and I can help impart some knowledge here. So it's kind of, I get the odd reward, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
most of the time I'm just sitting here while I've got Luke telling me this, that, and the other. I've got Peter Todd telling me other stuff. I've got Shinobi calling me a fucking retard. Like I just have to put up with it so that I can learn, right?
Yeah. That's the story, man. We you know what? I'm gonna pull the chart away and just do the side by side video. Let's see here, because it's only showing the speaker, so I want to make sure that the audience can see both of us.
Hmm.
We'll see what this looks like here in a sec. My YouTube is a couple seconds behind, so we'll see here soon enough. I'm watching YouTube on my phone for the comments. Yeah, there we go. It's up and we're looking good. So yeah, November, unconfiscatable. I guess I don't know the date. Shibley said November. I think that gives us enough time, gives me enough time to wrap my head around traveling out there. So I do plan to be there. Shibley asks, are you working at Start 9?
No, I was. I worked at Start 9 for 2 years. I don't work there anymore as of the end of May this year. Um, it was time to do something new. I've written a thread on it. If you want, I can post it in the chat there. I don't really want to go into what happened. The takeaway for you probably is that it remains basically the best in class, depending on your priorities. If you want an easy plug and play server, and what you're talking about doing is setting up BTC Pay server for um no, don't worry about doxing me, man. It's fine. I'm known as working there. Like I was publicly associated with it. Um, the point is, if you're setting up BTC Pay server stuff for people, your best way to do it is Start OS or Embassy OS, as it used to be called. It's still the best around. You can do it on things like Raspberry Blitz as well. Umbrel, I'll never really have much time for it. I just don't think the project is particularly high quality. Um, Raspberry Blitz is like my favorite on the other end of it. And if they switch to Nix OS underneath, then I start to think that they become a serious alternative. you start to have like if we're going full personal server revolution and it becomes a thing that people have in their homes and it's normal and it's not particularly technically involved, Start OS is going to be like Mac and Raspberry Blitz if they can get their shit together and get off exclusively using the Raspberry Pi, which just isn't a very good piece of hardware, man. Like you can't, if you make something on a Raspberry Pi, it will never be beyond a bit of fun because they have endless power issues, drive issues. You'll never make them work that reliably. You need to use proper hardware if you want to be a serious project. So if they do that, if they switch to Nix OS as a base OS, then we might have that. Then they'll be like the Linux of the personal server space, yeah, or like I should say more like an Ubuntu or something like a user-friendly Linux rather than some awkward distro that only geeks are going to use. And I think you'll have that. And if Umbrella continue to exist, which they might, then they'll be like the Microsoft Windows of the thing. The first mover, the one everyone knows, the one with the widest amount of applications or services that run on it, but the one that doesn't fucking work properly, that's a headache for anyone that has to deal with it. So I think you're always going to have those three. There's three archetypes when you have technological development, right? Even see it with Lightning implementations, right? You've got LND, again, who are the first movers. They were good. The development is more rich, the environment there's more going on, but they're unreliable and they ignore protocol. They don't care about doing things on the protocol level. They just make proprietary solutions for stuff. It's super Microsoft Windows in the approach. Then you've got Core Lightning, the Blockstream implementation of Lightning, which is they move way slower, they keep everything open, they adhere to standards, they work together with other teams, they try and make things happen on a protocol level. So you're talking about things like LNURL and LNAuth and all this cool stuff that's on LND that hasn't really been done right. Just like the way Microsoft used to do stuff with browsers, they wouldn't wait until HTML standards developed and the community and the world decided on how to move forward. They would just do custom proprietary stuff in their own browsers and try to force development of web development to move in their direction without taking part in the global process. And so Core Lightning don't do that. Everything happens as bolts, right? They respect bolts as a process. They say, okay, we're going to do watchtowers. Okay, we're going to do, blinded payments. We're going to do static QR codes. We're going to all these things that, are cool parts of Lightning. Like you want to be able to just send someone random amounts of money rather than have them generate an invoice for a specific amount of money that can only be used once, which is what we were stuck with in Lightning at the beginning. LND came up with like a kind of a proprietary way around that, and Core Lightning are like, well, let's take 5 more years and do it at the protocol level, which is slower and better and more respectful. And so I'm just talking about archetypes of different teams and the way they develop. As an aside to you bringing up Start9 where I worked, they are like the Mac OS of personal servers. They're super user friendly, quite limited. Like if you want to change configuration options in Bitcoin Core and you want to do something that isn't permitted by the GUI, then you just can't do it, which in Raspberry Blitz, that's not going to be the case, right? But if you want to do stuff like make easy backups and have premium support and all that, then Start9 is your way to go. But you're only able to do what Start9 permit you to do, unless you want to dig right in and start hacking it, in which case you should have just been on Raspberry Blitz in the first place. Super user. That's kind of how I see the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
You're a hardcore geek and Linux. Consolero? I don't even know that word. Yeah, pretty limited on Raspberry. I agree. Raspberry Pis are shit. It's really annoying that they've become this hobbyist like go-to because they're just you limit yourself so much. It's my real area of like coming into the world as a human and growth was being a musician, right? And the main thing that always would happen is people would come up to me and be like, "Oh, you're so good at music. How do I do that?" And I'm like, "Well, what do you have? Like, what instrument do you have?" And they're like, "I got this guitar at the supermarket for $79.99." I'm like, "You're never gonna get anywhere with that thing. You're gonna hate playing it, and you're gonna give up, and you're gonna think you're shit. Like, get a good guitar if you want to actually have an enjoyable time on it. Like, a real pro can use a Raspberry Pi and have a decent time with it. If you're anyone else, it's just gonna hit a brick wall with it." Like I try and set up servers on a Raspberry Pi all the time, and I just have random stupid crap start happening. Like there are fights between it and my router where, you know, the SSH server will just die for no reason, and I'll just have to reflash the whole thing, or I'll have a power issue that means that I get drive corruption, or you know, things that just wouldn't happen if I got like a, you know, like a Minis Forum $400 computer. And then you have the insult to injury, which is Raspberry Pis are super expensive now. So like, why spend $200 on a Raspberry Pi when you can spend like $300 on a mini PC that's actually good and has proper power delivery, and like it just doesn't even make sense anymore. And then you've got to deal with the funky processor, right? Like, it's not like it's an open source alternative to Intel. It's that Broadcom chip, which is backdoored as fuck. We know that. So you're just making it really difficult to compile all your software. Compiling Bitcoin Core on a Raspberry Pi is annoying. It's actually more annoying than doing it for Intel, right? I mean, ARM is like, you know, now that we have the M1 processor, ARM is kind of becoming more normal everywhere. But it's like you have to learn to do everything in this non-standard way, compiling software for Raspberry Pis. I think it's such a mistake that we've gone down this path for the personal home server thing to use Raspberry Pis for everything. It's such a mistake. And then they went from $75 to $200, and I'm like, okay, now the only justification, which was that they're super cheap, no longer applies. So it's dead. Like, forget the Raspberry Pi, everyone. Rant over.
Sounds good. That won't be my first go-to. Once me and you start communicating about stepping up my game, I'll figure out the best thing. You know, or maybe not the best, but something up there. Um, yeah. So
Well, that was because you asked me about Start 9, right? Yeah, I was working at Start 9 for a couple of years. I moved around, mostly did support. I did a lot of the documentation there. If like, it's just good documentation. If you want to know how to use Lightning, look at Start 9's documentation. I wrote all of it, and it's good stuff. Like, LN bits is really good. LN bits is like one of the coolest bits of software in Lightning, and no one understands how to use it. So I got to the bottom of it, wrote a long, detailed guide for how it actually works and why you'd even want to use it. It's allocation, right? It's so cool. Like, you just create wallets on top of your Lightning node and you allocate funds to them. So you can be like, okay, I'm going to El Salvador. I want to put $1,000 in this El Salvador wallet that sits on top of my Lightning node, and it will just work. I get to spend $1,000, and when I run out, it's over, and I can receive more and like replenish it if I want. But it doesn't. All the stuff that's happening with your Lightning node happens under the hood, like all the channels that are used and all that. You don't need to worry about any of that stuff. And you can even allocate funds to like children. You can give your son a Lightning wallet, you know, and just allocate $100 to it. That's all he's got. And then he doesn't have to rely on anyone else like Moon or any of this or Phoenix. He can rely on you using your node, and you can allocate more money to it if you want, like pocket money, give him $10 a week, whatever. You can do that. LN Bits is so cool, man.
speaking of Lightning, it's a question I had yesterday and something I heard a while back. I'm under the impression that Lightning is good for anonymity, like onion routed transactions, something like that.
Yeah, it's not as private as it could be. It's okay. It's definitely more private than Bitcoin on the main chain, because when with Bitcoin on the main chain, everyone needs to know about your transaction, because one of them could be receiving money after it ends up at the destination when you've made your transaction. They need to be able to verify that they're getting Bitcoin, right? So if you're buying Bitcoin and it gets sent to you from this place, how do you know that it was at that place when you bought it? Because you know everything about the network. In Lightning, it doesn't matter. It's a personal relationship between two parties. We open a channel together and we just trade between us. Bing, bang, bing, bang, bing, bang. No one else needs to know about that. It's not their business. There's no reason for them to know. All they want to know is what the state is when you finally decide to close the channel, where the real Bitcoins ended up. That's it. Obviously, if you're doing multi-hop payments, which is realistically what you're doing a lot in Lightning, then other parties do become interested and they do need to know. But the point is, only the relevant parties need to know, the people that are actually dealing with that money. It's so, by its very nature, Lightning can be totally private. You can open a channel, you can send 1 billion transactions between you both. You can close the channel in a way where no one even knew it was a Lightning channel. If it's a cooperative close using Taproot, then you don't even reveal the fact that it was a Lightning channel in the first place. and you've just ended a financial relationship that spanned thousands or millions of transactions, and no one knew anything about it except you and the other person. That's it. So
Mhm.
that's Lightning for you. That's theoretically best case. In reality, there's a lot of like, you don't want to go into assuming you're totally private, because there's analysis going on. You need to observe best practices. You don't want to be looking up your node statistics on websites like Amboss, because you'll betray the fact that it's you with your IP address that runs that node. There are a lot of people watching. There are griefers out there where when you're trying to make a payment, that will offer themselves as a route for you to send your payment along, that don't actually agree to the final payment, but because you queried them for liquidity and you still betrayed the fact that you wanted to make a payment along a certain path. So there are griefers out there trying to create problems for people and trying to engage in surveillance. And all this is super young too. So, all this, don't rely on any of that stuff. But in theory, Lightning is private in ways that, even privacy coins like Monero and Zcash will pale in comparison to. Like Lightning can be so private. Like Lightning will give Monero a run for its money. So all those Monero heads are just, missing out.
Yeah. All right, we have a question from Fabio. Can we democratize Lightning a bit more with a good centralization compromise?
I don't know. It depends what you mean by democratize, man. I don't look at democracy as being a particularly good thing myself. Do you mean? No, you're going to have to elaborate on that question. Democracy to me is the worst. I don't want it.
Yeah, understood. All right, so yeah, what else do we got going on over here? What's coming to your mind?
Well, Motorist is just talking about CTV, and like he wants to do a deep dive on it. And I'm telling you, every time I try and learn more about it, I just get more confused. It's covenants are really confusing, which is a big way to say that they're probably not going to make it into Bitcoin, because just not enough people understand them. There are some things that are actually good that we don't want in Bitcoin because they're just too complicated, and unless enough people understand them, on principle, you cannot have a piece of good technology in Bitcoin with some esoteric mathematics that only 8 people in the world understand. That you just can't do that. So that's like confidential transactions, which they have on Liquid. That's privacy on the base layer. And I know I would oppose it. Confidential transactions are not making it into Bitcoin because no one understands how they work. There's just too few mathematicians on the planet. Most people don't even know how a Merkle tree works. I don't know how a Merkle tree works. Bitcoin is a giant Merkle tree. How do you figure it out? How can you verify that a transaction is legit when you know the transaction and you know the block header? How do you follow it up through the Merkle tree? How do you verify that? I don't know how to do that. That's what a Merkle tree. A Merkle tree is a hash of the combination of all the leaves of the tree, which is all the transactions each form a leaf, and they combine. The tree analogy is a little bit upside down, actually, because the trunk is derived from the leaves ultimately, as opposed to a tree where the leaves come as a result of the trunk. But you start with the leaves, you combine each pair of leaves into one parent leaf, and then you combine each pair of parent leaves into another grandparent leaf, and then you keep going up the chain until you've combined all the transactions into one final hash. It's like you mix red and blue, you get a purple, you mix yellow, you mix blue and yellow, and you get green, and you get so you got purple and green, then you combine purple and green and you get another color, and you keep doing that until you get a final master color. And the whole point of the Merkle tree is you're supposed to be able to take any one of those primary color leaves, like the red, and go, yeah, I can see that red is a part of that final color, and not with one bit of difference. That's how you verify transactions if you have a block that they belong in that block. And this is Merkle tree maths. And I'm telling you, there's nothing on the internet explaining how the actual mathematics of it works. So, what even was, we're talking about CTV there. Yeah. Bitcoin Motorist, like CTV. Yeah. You've got Stefan Levara's podcast, which is obviously a fantastic podcast. Shout out to Stefan Levara. He goes into a deep dive on it with Jeremy Rubin, the creator of CTV. That was about a year and a half ago. I tweeted about it saying CTV is great. Watch this podcast if you want to understand even less about CTV, because it's just so confusing. Like, I don't even understand how the templates are constructed. I don't want to demotivate anyone here. I don't want to be depressing. So, like, if you're looking at me and you think I know a lot about it and I don't understand this stuff, then you don't stand a chance. Just go for it anyway. Like, we're going to understand this stuff whether we like it or not. It's going to come. Understanding is going to come. But yeah, CTV is. I don't know if it's going to be that or if it's going to be check sig from stack combined with any pre-vout or whatever it was Giacomo just texted me about half an hour ago. I don't know what's going to happen, but we're going to do something. Otherwise, we're going to have these ugly solutions for lightning scalability or channel factories where you have these sort of independently organized ecosystems where we create agreements among people and tie them back into the Bitcoin space through some ugly hack. Like, we can do it all, but I really hope we get this stuff done on the protocol level.
Okay. A few more questions have come up aimed at you there, mechanic.
Go for it.
There's a lot of work from Fabio. There's a lot of work to do to automate, reduce OpEx, the operations of running a Lightning router node 2, fee management, and channel open close automation. I know Strike has some proprietary stuff.
I don't see that question. Oh, sorry. Yeah, from Fabio.
Mhm.
Running a routing node is, I don't know. In theory, we want as many people to do it as possible, right? Or at least the game theory of the Lightning Network checks out because you can be a routing node if you want. So if someone wants to be a routing node and they're prepared to take on the burden of doing the whole thing, because backups in Lightning are hard, right? If you mess up with a backup, like best case scenario, you can recreate your channel and have most of your channels close themselves automatically upon recovery, and all of your peers were online when you recovered. Like, that's best case scenario for a routing node, particularly. Second best case scenario is you recover, all of your channels get closed, but some of your peers are just offline. Like, if you have I had a semi routing node. I had about 30 channels open, and I had a guy just go permanently offline, which means I've got to broadcast the transaction we negotiated right at the beginning of our channel relationship. Guess what? That means the fee was also negotiated back then. What was the fee back then? 2 sats per byte. So is that closing transaction ever going to make it into the blockchain? Doesn't look like it. I've been waiting months now because we've never gone below 4 sats per byte in months because of all this spam and just the fact that blocks are going to be full in the future. We know that. And there's no way to renegotiate that. As far as I know, the guy running the other Lightning node is dead. So there's nothing I can do. I don't have a way of reaching him. I don't have a way of renegotiating the closing, the channel closure. So Lightning has to take that into account, and it doesn't currently. Lightning in a high fee environment creates serious problems. It creates game theoretical problems because someone can try and cheat and close a channel in an old state, and you have to be able to do a justice transaction. And if that justice transaction needs to be broadcast in a high fee environment, you might be screwed. It might cost you $1,000 to get your justice transaction in the blockchain, and you might not be willing to pay that. You might just not have the money. So that breaks a massive part of Lightning's game theory. So that's rough. Like, there's these problems that haven't really been thought of yet. And but anyway, back to the point. When it comes to running a Lightning node, usually what will happen upon recovery is you recover from a mnemonic, something that looks like a typical Bitcoin recovery, which means there's no channel state, because recovering a channel state is fundamentally a dangerous thing to do in Lightning, because if you don't have the very latest state, you can get justice transaction by the other party. So you need to, that incentive structure is built into Lightning for a reason. You can't open a channel with someone, have 1 Bitcoin worth of spending on your side and none on their side, spend your whole Bitcoin in Lightning only, and then try and close the channel as you originally opened it and get your Bitcoin back, right? The mechanism by which you prevent people from doing that to you is called justice transactions. So if you do that, what happens is the person on the other side can punish you for it and say, I'm going to take I'm going to take everything in this channel because you just tried to cheat. And in this case, all that means is they get the money they were owed in the first place because you were the one that opened the channel. But it can be worse than that. If they opened the channel to you and they had all the liquidity on their side, they can start spending, and then some of their liquidity can become your liquidity. Then you can spend that and then close the channel again, and then you've actually lost money, as opposed to, well, in both cases you lose money if the person tries to do that unless you justice. So all that is to say, when you have a Lightning channel, when you have a Lightning node and you make a recovery, most of the time you're not attempting to recover the channel state, because if you make a mistake and you don't quite have the latest channel state, then you can get justiced. So what happens is there's a protocol whereby you recover just your mnemonic, just your seed, and then you try and learn about all the channels that you had and reach out to all the peers that you had them with and request that they close the channel, and then they close the channel. And you have to rely on them not closing it in a state that you no longer even have, because they can then close the channel in an old state without even fearing you doing a justice transaction. They just have to worry, maybe this guy is trying to trick me. Maybe he's requesting that I close the channel and he's pretending not to have the latest state. So if I close it in an older state, do I think he's going to justice me or not? So you have watchtowers that kind of look out for this, but basically what I'm trying to say is, when it comes to running a routing node, people can play all kinds of tricks on you, and you need to be on the lookout for it. And that's making, I know how like the bigger players do it. They have like constant redundancy. They have 2 drives with everything going on at once. So everything is automatically existing in 2 places at once. So if a drive fails, they'll be fine. So we're talking about like Bitfinex and Bull Bitcoin and Kraken, who run Lightning nodes now, right? Like they obviously have this stuff worked out, but that's a bit much for your everyday user trying to run a routing node. So yeah, I'm going to say that Lightning, when it comes down to it, being a routing node is an absolute pain in the butt. And in a few months ago, we went through just every day, some legendary Twitter account would be like, yeah, I'm decommissioning my Lightning routing node. It's too much of a pain in the ass. Like, and you don't make much money from it either. Like I ran a routing node for like a year and made about 30,000 sats, which is
Mhm.
like a few dollars. Like who
Yeah.
cares? It's a pain.
Yeah, well, just to throw this out, I got about 10 minutes before I need to head out. So what do you think we should hit for the last 10 minutes?
I'm just reading that message. Oh yeah, you also mentioned, Fabio, about Lightning automation. So I was super stoked about that, and then it took a turn for the worse, sadly. There was LND had autopilot, which sucked and still sucks, and they don't ever work on it. Go and look at the GitHub for it. They haven't merged a line of code since 2019, I think. They've totally abandoned it, and for some reason they leave it inside LND. They should just rip it out, because it doesn't work. Everyone knows it doesn't work. You're going to get all sorts of problems with your Lightning node if you're using it, and they know it doesn't work. And everyone that uses it, it's sort of a best, like if you go into a Lightning community like Plebnet or something and you're running LND, everyone will tell you don't use autopilot. And I don't get it. This is another reason I have an issue with the LND team. They should just take it out. They should stop leaving it in there and pretending it works, because it just creates problems. All that said, CLN, Blockstream's Lightning implementation, had CL Boss, which was awesome. That's what I used to get my routing node happening. I just stuck a bunch of Bitcoin in there, turned on CL Boss, and it opened loads of channels to great, well-connected nodes, and gave me liquidity on both sides. It did a lot of rebalancing. It cost about 100,000 sats to do all that, which is quite expensive. And there were basically no transaction fees at the time, or everything was doable with 1 sat per byte, because this was a while ago. And it gave me a great routing node. Like my Lightning node was able to make and receive payments whenever I liked. So I connected Zeus on my phone to my own Lightning node, and I had the best Lightning experience you could possibly ask for. It always worked. And it was doing so over Tor as well. Even through all the Tor network attack, I managed to have a really reliable Lightning node. So it was free, and I was making a little bit of money too, because I was doing some routing for people trying to use Lightning, right? I was a router, and I didn't have to pay any of those fees you use when you're using companies like Phoenix, who are really good. But if you're getting them to do all your Lightning management for you, they're going to take a cut, and it's pretty expensive. And the whole point of Lightning is that it's cheaper than just doing stuff on chain. And then you've got Moon as well, who, if you make, in a lot of instances, when you're using the Lightning network, you're going to pay thousands of sats for a transaction, which again is stupid because you might as well just use the main chain then.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with the state of Lightning.
All right. Well, let's I gotta cut out, man. This I was great that it's great that you were able to jump on. This is just kind of a smoke half a cigar and tune in for the audience here for a little bit. But you guys, I'm gonna be hopping in over to Bitcoin Mechanics channel here pretty soon. Maybe even this weekend. Tomorrow we got the fights though. I don't know if you're into the UFC, but tomorrow we got the fights starting early, so I'll be smoking cigars at the bar, watching all these fights until they're up. But we'll have a lot to talk about very soon. Why don't you announce your Twitter handle, please, and your YouTube channel again?
Cool. My Twitter is at grassfed Bitcoin, and my YouTube handle is just at Bitcoin Mechanic. So yeah, give me a follow on those. Give me a subscribe. If you want to, if you feel like being nice, just go and like a bunch of videos that I've done on YouTube. All that stuff helps me. And if you're looking for handy shorts, like if you want to see people, if people are asking you questions that are really awkward to answer, I've got some shorts on my YouTube channel about privacy, about why Bitcoin is small blocks, about what happens if you use bad random data to create a Bitcoin address or a Bitcoin private key. There's some handy videos there that you can send to people. I would like that resource myself, and it doesn't exist, so that's why I made it.
Yeah, I will say this. You guys know that I'm back with a vengeance to stream and produce as much content, educational content for you. And to me, it's a blessing to have someone like Bitcoin Mechanic show up who can really help us, see the space from a, top-down perspective. It's not all just about price. It's about, understanding what you're getting into. So I strongly encourage you guys to do that. Take a look at his channel, and we're going to keep the education going, whether it be charts or whether it be Bitcoin at a fundamental layer, fundamental understanding and even advanced. This is clearly, some intermediate to advanced level understandings as well. So we're going to keep this going. It's going to be a normal thing. Look forward to seeing you guys over on his channel and check out his stuff. And, we're going to keep doing this, you guys. So thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. I really do appreciate the support from you all. And yeah, Mechanic, thank you so much for jumping in, man.
Welcome, man.
All right, everyone. You guys have a great day. Do your push-ups, do your sit-ups, bend out your comfort zone a little bit every single day. And I'll be catching you guys tomorrow. Peace. All right, man. So the stream is now ended.